Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Charity Village webinar. We will just wait a moment for everyone to join the session. Okay, we will get started. Welcome to today's Charity Village webinar. My name is Mercedes, and I'm the Marketing and Communications Specialist of Charity Village. As we are gathering here in a virtual platform, it is important to acknowledge that each of us is joining this webinar from the ancestral or unceded lands of the Inuit, Métis, and First Nation people. As a settler on this land, I'd like to acknowledge I'm speaking to you from the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Anishinaabe, which includes the Ojibwe of Fort William First Nation. For those who may be joining a Charity Village webinar for the first time, Charity Village is Canada's largest online job board for the nonprofit sector. In addition to our online job board, organizations can also post volunteer positions. So if you are looking for work or to recruit talent in the sector, Charity Village is a great place to start. We also have a ton of excellent resources for nonprofit professionals, including online courses, articles, fundraising tools, and free webinars like the one we are presenting today. Before we start today's webinar, I would like to quickly run through some housekeeping items. You may have noticed when you joined the webinar that you were automatically put on mute. Since we have hundreds of participants in today's session, it is important for us to minimize the amount of background noise so that everyone can clearly hear the presentation. But you can still ask questions and make comments using the question box at the bottom of the Zoom control panel. Look for that at the bottom of your screen. We will be taking questions at the end of the webinar, so please submit your questions as you think of them, and we will do our best to get to as many as possible. You can also email your questions to webinars@charityvillage.com. If you happen to encounter any technical issues with the webinar, whether with viewing the presentation or with the audio, please let us know in the question box or by sending us an email. We will do our best to get any technical difficulties resolved as quickly as possible, but in a worst case scenario, please remember that we are recording today's webinar and we will send you the full recording by email tomorrow. So if you get called away or disconnected, you will still be able to view the full presentation. And with that, I'd like to welcome our presenter for today, Rebecca Alfred from Trellis.
Hello, everybody. We are so excited to be here, but before we get too into it, I have a quick question for all of you. How many of you have spent way too long planning a fundraising event for your organization? Mercedes is actually going to throw up a poll question right now. I just saw it pop up. And I'm seeing a lot of answers roll in. Okay. Now, it looks like 92% of you agree that you have spent way too long planning a fundraising event or planning for a fundraising event that you've got coming up. But I have another question for you. How many of you, regardless of all of that time that you spent, sat back afterwards and questioned if the fundraiser that you ran really helped generate the results you wanted after all? And if you really questioned, did it have the long-term benefit that your organization was looking for? Yeah, I had a feeling these would be some of the results that we would see. First of all, just know that you are in pretty good company. You're not the only one for the 81% of you that said that you really questioned it afterwards. And so with that in mind, I'm making you all a promise. I'm going to guarantee that by the time that this session ends, you're going to walk away with 3 notes from my talk. And if you don't, I need you to tell me during our Q&A period at the end, and I'm going to keep throwing more and more ideas and insights at you until you've all got 3 notes written down. Okay, I'm a little bit nervous about that promise I just made, but actually hold me accountable. You've chosen to spend the next hour with me, and my goal is that I make it as valuable as possible for you. Now, in this room, we all know the importance of securing long-time donors for your cause, and we tend to turn to events to help us do that. To find new donors, engage with them, educate them on your cause, and set the foundation before you begin to nurture these relationships. But what I often see organizations do is that they leave it there. They forget that critical last step to nurture event attendees into long-term donors. And in fact, what I'm going to share with you today is going to change the way that you and your team approach this altogether. Now, imagine with me for a second. You're hosting a fundraising event on a Thursday night, and your donor management team comes in on Monday morning, opens up Raiser's Edge and sees 1,000 new high potential supporters that you think could become long-term donors for your cause. They didn't press any buttons or manually look at any reports. Instead, they got to work on calls and thank you messages to start building relationships. Now, I may be wrong, but I think that this could revolutionize the way that your team works and secures long-term donors for your cause, not only simplifying their efforts, but prioritizing their work to what makes the most sense, to really focusing on those who are most likely to convert. And in fact, this is exactly what War Child did with their fundraising. And they were able to surpass their goals year after year, despite moving to a fully virtual event in the middle of a pandemic. Let's break it down on how they do it. First, they identified the marketing channels that work for their organization, and specifically the fundraisers, and used those to attract supporters. And once they arrived, they gave them an incredible experience. Next, they added in strategic donation upsells in their fundraiser. When guests were purchasing event tickets, they were asked if they'd like to make an additional donation when guests bid on an auction item, or and when guests bid on an auction item, they were asked if they'd like to donate their bid in the chance that they didn't win. That's all it took, and they raised 120% more than they ever had in the past. And 3, the best part isn't how much they raised. No, it's what they did afterwards. They looked at all of their supporters and narrowed in on a small group afterwards. The ones who took the extra step to donate above and beyond their ticket sales or auction bids. And they started personal reach outs to nurture those individuals to become longtime supporters for their cause. They took a successful event where they raised more than expected and continued to expand upon it. And best of all, War Child isn't the only organization to do this. Thousands of other organizations have been running events like these and using these tactics. And as you can see, the amount that charities are raising after adding more and more fundraising drivers, using more and more of these tactics, is noticeably increasing. In the next 40 minutes, I'll walk you through 3 simple steps that you can do to have the same success. So here's where we're going to go. And get ready, because this session is going to be jam-packed with action. And you're going to all leave with tactical next steps that you can implement into your organization right away. And actually, that's why I'm so confident in what we're providing, that I'm going to guarantee those 3 notes in your notebook, like I already said. And again, if you don't write down 3 notes, please tell us during the Q&A, because we will change that for you. So first, we're going to briefly touch on how you can use marketing to identify where your donors are coming from. Then we'll dig into the tactics that will help you raise more for your cause. In fact, our strategic donation upsells help organizations raise 120% more for their causes. And finally, let's dig into how you can raise more into the future as well. Using the insights from your fundraiser to further engage and nurture these high potential donors, we'll discover how you can turn event attendees into long-term donors. And just a heads up, you'll be really glad if you're using Raiser's Edge when I get to the end of my talk here. And we're going to be discussing how you can easily identify and spot high potential donors right where you need them. My goal for the end of our time here is that you walk away with clear next steps on how you can raise more with your next fundraiser and how to easily identify high potential donors for your cause. In addition to all of that, we have put together a guide which provides more details about how you can raise more through the fundraising elements of your event. You can scan the QR code on the screen or use the link below the guide image to download it now. I like to think that this talk, this talk is like step 1, and the guide would be step 2. We cover the same insights or the main insights in the talk, but the guide includes more data, quick ideas to implement into your event, and even a 1-pager designed specifically for your board and your key stakeholders to get them just as excited as you will be by the time that this talk is done. So I'd encourage you, use the QR code to download it now, and you'll easily be able to share a digital copy with your entire team as well. Trust me, this is a guide that you will want to share with them. And we'll also be ending our time with some Q&A. So if you have any questions at all, please make sure to throw them in there, and we will be rapid fire answering them at the very end. But before we jump into all of this, you're probably wondering why I'm talking about this. Well, I'm from Trellis. We build fundraising software to help organizations raise more from their galas, signature events, and golf tournaments. Our platform handles everything from event ticketing and registration, silent and live auctions, donations and funding needs, e-commerce, and even raffles and 50/50s. I'm Rebecca. My pronouns are she, her, and I've had the privilege of supporting hundreds of these organizations as they continue to grow their fundraisers and surpass their fundraising goals. Joining me today are Justin and Paul from the Trellis team, and they're going to be in the chat. So if you have any questions at all while I'm speaking, throw them in there and Justin will be answering them as we go. We'll also be saving some for our Q&A at the very end. I'm joining you from the Silks Nation, also known as Kelowna, BC, and we wanted to take a second here to pause and reflect on the different lands that we each get to come from. Okay, are we ready to jump in and get started here? First, we wanted to start by talking about marketing. Now, we could truly have an entire talk just about marketing by itself, and we've actually done that in the past. So Justin is going to throw a quick link into the chat now for a marketing only webinar that we held with Charity Village in the past that you can watch if you're really hoping to get into more of the marketing specifics. But for now, we're going to keep it pretty brief. But the key point I wanted to share with you is all around how you can track where your attendees are coming from. And understanding where your supporters are coming from is going to allow you to easily identify the best channels to help you raise the most for your organization. And to do that, we're going to talk about affiliate links or UTM links. But maybe before we get started, Mercedes, would you mind throwing up another quick poll? I'd love to know how many of you are familiar with UTM links or affiliate marketing links. Okay, it's a bit of a split so far. I'll give you guys another few seconds to answer it. There we go. Okay, it's about 25% of you are familiar, 75 not so much. Hey, that's all good. We're going to go over it right now. An affiliate marketing link is a specific URL that you can use for each of your different marketing channels that you can use to track where people are coming from when they engage in your fundraisers. Organizations just like yours are using affiliate marketing links to identify who's coming from a newsletter, social media, their website banner or email signatures, or even through a board member sharing the link. With this insight, you'll now be able to easily identify which channels are driving engagement for your cause and redirect your focus onto those channels first. That way, you can bring more guests and ultimately more dollars to your cause before the event even begins. This insight is changing the way that organizations are approaching their marketing, and it's actually really easy to set up. There are a lot of tools out there to help you create an affiliate link, and once you've got your link, you can simply use that link for a specific channel. For example, let's say that you created a specific link for your newsletter. When you write your newsletter, you use that new link that you just created to direct your community to your event. When they click on that specific link in your newsletter, it tracks who came from the newsletter, what they purchased, and how much they purchased. At a high level, you can easily identify which channels are going to be bringing in the most dollars and transactions for your organization and this particular fundraiser based on the engagement that you get. Now, I know that was really quick and that was a lot of details, but again, this is a really good moment to throw it into the chat and ask some more questions. But I'm trusting that all of you already have some marketing plans in place so we can move on to some more good stuff for the remainder of our webinar. But again, throw it in the question box. This is your moment. Throw it in there and we will definitely be answering those at the very end. Now, let's dig into a little bit more about where we're going to go next. How can we help you raise more money? But specifically, we're going to break this up into two sections. How can you raise more now, but how can you raise more in the future as well? So let's start with how you can raise more now. But again, one last quick poll question. How many of you would like to start raising more for your cause? Regardless of the role you're in, how many of you would like to see more dollars brought in? Okay, good. I'm glad you guys were going to say that. 1% of people said no, but the rest of you are all keen to see us raise some more money. That's awesome. That's what I figured, and you're in the right place because we're going to really dig into it right now here. But before we actually start talking about your organization, I wanted to talk about the last time that you purchased a plane ticket on Expedia. Now, beyond buying a plane ticket, I'm sure a few other things happened. You likely were asked if you'd like to add a hotel booking in at the same time. And you were likely also asked if you'd like to upgrade your seat to a better seat with more legroom or more service. So, why were you asked if you'd like to book a hotel when trying to simply book a flight? First, it's a complimentary service that Expedia can offer. They know that when you fly somewhere new, you likely need somewhere else to stay as well. What I love about this is Expedia didn't have to do any extra work beyond presenting you with hotel options to get you to book. They don't have to target you with marketing efforts. They know that you're coming to book a flight, and a hotel is a natural next step. Now, as we think about your fundraising, how we can apply this concept to your fundraising events is where you can start to begin exploring how to start raising more. And the first way to do that is by adding more fundraising drivers. Now, we conducted a study with over 1,000 fundraisers and found that organizations adding additional fundraising drivers to their events and campaigns are raising, on average, 200% more for their cause. And I'm not making that up. They are doubling the amount raised with each additional fundraising driver. And what I love about this is similar to Expedia and their hotels, is it's not double the work. You've already got an attentive audience. You're just engaging them in an additional way. And some of my favorite ways that I've seen organizations use this technique to raise more for their cause is by some of the following. One, they've added in a raffle to their existing fundraisers. Maybe you've got a silent auction and donations. Adding a 50-50 is an easy way to raise more for your event and also further engage your event attendees. Or maybe you're doing a gala and a silent auction is a natural fit. Or third, maybe you're hosting a golf tournament. We're seeing organizations include an add-on to purchase mulligan tickets or entries into a hole-in-one contest. It's simple to set up and it's free for you. It's a free way for you to further engage your attendees in a completely different way. And similar to Expedia, this is a really easy way that organizations are trying different tactics and raising more money. So as you're thinking the next time that you're booking a plane ticket about that hotel that you're getting and you're seeing as an add-on, I want to think about your organization too. How are you going to use that same tactic to start raising more for your cause? Now, the next thing that we often see, once I get past some technical difficulties on my end here, please hold. And there we go, we're back. Now, the next thing that we also see is that organizations are raising an additional 20% more for their calls right away. And before we go back to that and think about how that happens, I want you to think about Expedia one more time. When you're booking a flight, you probably also receive a pop-up asking if you'd like to upgrade your seat. Now, this is usually right at the end before you complete your checkout. And in fact, this is when upsells are actually most successful, when you've already got your credit card in your hand and it's a quick and simple and easy way for your purchasers to take action. We can also apply this exact same concept to your organization. And this is the second way that organizations are raising more right now using donation upsells. Upselling is the perfect way to raise more for your cause right away. And just like buying a plane ticket, we find organizations are most successful when they also ask right before supporters are checking out, when they've already got their credit card in hand. And on average, we see organizations like Burn Fund that use this donation upsell and bring in an additional 20% more for their organization. That's 20% more in unrestricted funds for your organization to use. Now, there are three common ways that I'm seeing charities utilize donation upsells. And the first is adding a donation upsell at checkout. It gives your donors another chance to see the impact of your dollars when they make a donation. And as they are already about to participate and actually purchase, it's a really simple and easy way for them to engage. Second is turning your lost bids into donations with Donate Your Auction Bid. Now, I love this one so much. When your donors bid in your silent auction right now, you're leaving lots of dollars on the table. What if instead you asked if they'd like to turn their bids into a donation in the off chance that they don't actually win? This new strategy is raising more for our charities. In fact, we're seeing organizations raise up to 10% more in their auctions, and these are tax receivable donations going back to your cause. And finally, bundles. If you've got multiple fundraising drivers for your event, why not bundle or package them all together and offer a bundle for your participants to purchase? It's a great way to include different fundraising drivers and add a notable donation for your cause to increase your average transaction size and also make it way easier for your supporters to engage. And best of all, this is all so simple to set up. You simply need to start with your next fundraiser, simply turn on a toggle and you're good to go. But while raising money now is great, that's actually not the point of this talk. We set out to show you how you can raise more now through your events and you can turn your event attendees into longtime donors. So this is where things get interesting. Let's talk about what happens now and how we can start raising more into the future again. And similar to Expedia asking you if you'd like to add a hotel or upgrade your plane seat, the real reason that companies are adding strategic upsells isn't to raise more today. It's so that they can learn more about your buying habits, so they can continue to make more money from you. And similarly, you can use that information that you gather when you implement these tactics to raise more now, so that you can identify the right individuals to nurture into long-term supporters and donors for your cause. So step 3, let's figure out how to turn the three more steps to turn your event attendees into long-term donors, allowing you to raise more into the future for your cause as well. And the first way that we're going to do this is we're going to understand the why. Supporters choosing to donate to your cause is great, but let's dig into why. Why did they choose to give? When you implement donation upsells, you are identifying the donors who care and have money and the ability to donate to your cause. These are individuals that are going to invest in becoming financial partners for your cause. Next, you can use these insights about who is donating to determine how to increase your event ROI. How can you use the information you have? What did they choose to purchase to support you further? Was it raffle tickets or donations? Using these details and insights about your supporters will allow you to continue growing your organization. Finally, you can use these details to nurture these supporters to becoming long-term donors for your cause. But before we dig into this, quick question for all of you, and that I'm hoping you can answer in the Q&A box. How many of you know the value of a long-term donor to your organization? We may actually have a poll question about that too. Let's see. I think you might need to throw it into the Q&A box there. No, some do, not sure with my organization. That's okay, but that's something I'd really encourage you to go back and find out. Knowing how much the long-term value of a donor is for your organization is going to change the way that you approach these tactics. It's going to change the way that you think about the ways that you want to raise more and the value that you're going to put into building long-term relationships. On average, the value of a long-term donor to an organization is $2,500, which for any organization is a significant number. So we want to maximize the total number of individuals who are supporting you in this way. Now, again, for the sake of time, we're not going to be delving into all of the different ways that you can communicate and nurture your donors, but I would remind you to focus on personalization. Create consistent and relevant communication and updates, and utilize multiple channels to engage your donors. Incorporating transitional call to actions in your communication as well is going to help share that story and really encourage people to continue engaging. Finally, sharing exciting updates and progress reports with your supporters is also going to keep them interested in what you're doing. And ultimately will allow you to become part of their fundraising bag, the individuals and the organizations that they turn to. You want to become a cornerstone in their fundraising and allow them to become part of something bigger. Now, that was a ton of information all really fast. So before we go any further, let's take a step back and think about what this could look like for your organization. So step one was all about discovering where your fundraisers are coming from, or where your events are coming from. Wow, supporters are coming from for your event. Through affiliate marketing links, we can identify which channels are the most effective at encouraging people to participate in our events, from newsletters or social media, website banners, or reach out from board members. Next, we looked at how we could raise money for your cause right away. To do that, let's say you're going to add a 50-50 to your existing gala. Again, as you're already promoting the gala, this is simply providing another way for people to engage. Next, we're going to add in some donation upsells to raise more money now, but also to help you identify new donors to continue supporting your cause. To do that, we're going to add in a donate your bid to your silent auction. Now, when bidders go to place a bid, they get asked if they'd like to donate their bid in a chance that they aren't the highest bidder. The best part of this is once you turn it on, you don't have to do a thing. It is all taken care of for you. Okay, so now your event has ended, and so we can focus on how you can increase your event ROI for your fundraiser. First, we look at who to engage or to add donation upsells with your purchase. This is going to help you identify the donors who are choosing to give more and have the ability to give more to your cause. Next, we're going to figure out how we can choose to participate in your fundraiser, how they chose to participate in your fundraiser, and by identifying which fundraising drivers were the most impactful in helping you hit your goals. Finally, it's time to start your reach out and work to nurture these supporters to become long-term donors for your cause. Again, like I said, we recommend personalized reach outs, sharing stories of life change and the impact that donors are making with donations to inspire others to become long-term donors for your cause as well. Now, our goal with this talk was to share valuable and actionable insights with you all, so you can start raising more money now and raise more into the future and turn some of your event attendees into long-term donors as you go. And while we shared a lot of great ideas, the big question you're probably all sitting there asking yourselves right now is how? How do I implement these fundraising drivers into my next event? How do I add donation upsells? And how do I gather the data that I need to determine who is a high potential supporter and what I should do to nurture them to become long-term donors of my organization? So here we go. The first step to all of these is implementing them into your organization. And it's all about finding a technology partner who can help you hit your goals. You should be looking for one that has the capabilities for multiple fundraising drivers, can facilitate donation upsells, and has the data stored to implement into your next nurture strategy. And while that seems like an incredibly tall list, I think I've got some good news for all of you. Here at Trellis, we have worked incredibly hard to build a platform to do all of that. In our platform, we have the ability to incorporate affiliate marketing links. We're allowing our organizations to use our affiliate marketing links tool to track where donors are coming from, if that's from newsletters or social media, or website banners, or links custom created for their board members. As well, in our platform, we support all fundraising drivers like ticketing, raffles and 50-50s, silent auctions, live auctions, e-commerce, and of course, donations. And next, you'll be looking for a platform that not only offers donations, but specifically donation upselling on top of every single fundraising driver that you're planning to use. And finally, we have a robust reporting and exports tool to show you who's donated to your cause through and how, so you can follow up with them and identify your high potential donors for your cause. But even better than all of that, we've just announced an integration with Raiser's Edge, which allows us to take these incredibly insightful data around high potential donors and implement it directly into your Raiser's Edge account. You literally don't have to do a thing, and we'll even tell you who your highest potential donors are. So for all of you that are using Raiser's Edge, I hope all the light bulbs are going off right now as you're thinking about how you can do this for your organization too. Like the individuals who chose to donate through donation upsells at checkout or opted to donate their auction bids, everything you need is going to be exactly where you need it. Taking an already phenomenal CRM tool like Raiser's Edge and actually making it even more effective for your organization. Now, we're going to be wrapping up here, but before we do that, let's quickly review what we've talked about. First, we talked about how to identify which marketing channels are the most effective at bringing people to your events. Then we talked about how you can raise more now with different fundraising drivers and donation upsells, and then raising more into the future by understanding who and why your donors are giving more, and how you can use these insights to continue growing your cause. Then we talked about how you can nurture your supporters to become long-term donors for your cause. Then we finally explored technology, Trellis as a technology partner to help you hit all of these goals in one single platform and with a ton of ease. So that was a lot, but before we go, here's one last thing I wanted to leave you with. I want us to leave some really easy next steps so you know where you can go from here. So maybe you fit into one of my 3 buckets. First, you've got a fundraising event already in the works. That's great. I want you to think about how you can implement some of the ideas around sharing your story and encouraging more donations as part of your upcoming event. I'd also encourage you to download the resource guide that I'm going to throw back up on the screen in just a second here, so you can see all the different fundraising drivers and you can start to get more ideas and insights around how and when those are each going to be most beneficial for your cause. Next, maybe you fit into this bucket. You have a fundraiser in the works, but you haven't started promoting it yet. This is perfect timing. Starting at the very beginning with marketing all the way through to nurturing your donors, we would love to talk to you and support you along the way. You can find a direct link to my colleague's calendar just on the next slide here. And that's a great way to connect with them and connect with our team to see how we can help you get started raising more money today. And finally, maybe you don't have any upcoming events, but you're curious how you can implement some of these tactics into your organization sooner rather than later. If that's the case, my team would also love to chat with you. We'd love to share ideas about what other fundraisers are doing and how they're raising more money for their organizations. So you can do the same. And again, I'm going to share a link on the next slide so you can find a way to connect with our team and chat and have a conversation. So that was a ton of information, all super fast, but I think it's time that we open the floor to some questions. And hey, did everybody write down at least 3 notes from their notebook or in their notebook from this talk? And with that, I'm going to invite Justin up as he's going to be sharing some questions with us.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Rebecca. We were getting lots of questions. Sorry, I'm still writing them down and catching up here. And I think maybe some of these people that haven't wrote down 3 are the ones asking questions. So hopefully we can get to that right here. So let's start with a great one here was around what upsells are there other than silent auction and raffles?
Yeah, definitely. There's lots of different ways that you can do upsells. So, first one is event ticketing. Event ticketing is typically the first thing that you launch with your fundraiser, and it's a great way to kick off your donation upsells right off the bat. So you could have an upsell during your event ticketing that asks people if they would like to add an additional donation. It'd just be a donation on top of their ticket purchase. Same thing with e-commerce. Maybe you're selling items. Maybe you've done a community cookbook, or maybe for your golf tournament, you're selling t-shirts or golf balls. Those are really great ways too to add in a donation upsell. So asking people at that point too, do you want to add a donation as well with your purchase? Raffles, same thing. When people are buying raffle tickets, we see on average organizations raise about 20% more with upsells specifically on raffles. Again, raffles are a great way to incorporate that. And then finally, silent auctions. So that's one that we're really excited about. At Trellis, we've actually just launched that, and we're actually the first and only platform to do upselling with silent auctions. And what that looks like is when donors go to make a bid on a silent auction item, they get asked, hey, in the chance that you don't win this item, do you want to convert this amount into a donation instead? It'd be a tax receivable donation for your organization. But again, we're seeing organizations raise about 10% more. So all really effective ways, but the best part is with all of them, you simply turn on a button or you toggle on a switch and they're all set up and ready to go for you.
Yeah, that is the best part is it's not more for you. It's actually less, if anything, because they're on and they're ready to go. So, which is what we like. You raise more and you don't have to spend any more time. Because I think that first question you said is, and I think it was 91% of people answered that they spend too much time planning events. So a lot of this is all on automatically. So now that we've talked about how to get them to be upsells, we've had a couple of questions just around, okay, so it sounds great, we can make more money, but again, how do we turn them into long-term donors? Like, why are these people the ones that should be long-term donors? Like, can you just dig into that more? We've had a couple of questions just around that.
Absolutely. So, the beauty of doing these donation upsells is they're a really great way to raise more money. I was actually just talking with an organization last week, and they said, with our silent auction, we raised about $10,000. So it's pretty typical for them, a phenomenal number. They were stoked about it. But for them, they raised about $1,200 in donations on top of their silent auction sales. So for them, that extra $1,000, it means so much. That's straight donations for their cause. But what got them really excited is how they could then reach out to the individuals that donated those extra $1,000 that they brought in. They reached out to those individuals and said, hey, you clearly care, you really like our cause, you're digging in and you're choosing to give above and beyond what's being asked. Let's have a conversation and see, if there's more fit for you to continue supporting our organization. And that's, I think, where this whole piece comes together of how can you take the raise more now tactics of donation upsells, adding different fundraising drivers, all those pieces, identifying who are the individuals that consistently keep cropping up as those who keep giving more, and then having conversations with those individuals. It's identifying those ones from the group and saying, hey, you look like you really care. You're digging in, you're choosing to give a $50 donation that goes to this specific program. Let's continue talking about that program. Let's continue exploring what it looks like and how you can continue to partner with us to raise more money. And for a lot of our causes, they don't have those kinds of avenues. They don't have those ways to easily identify those people. So when an event wraps up, they're reaching out to everybody to find out, who wants to give more. Whereas we're allowing them to identify the top 10% or that top group that's going to be more likely to say yes.
And what I've also heard, just to add to that, is we're seeing there's a lot of VIPs at events that you're going to key in on that are major donors and things like that, and that's why you're going to build those relationships. However, for every more obvious or louder VIP, there's someone who is a silent VIP that you might not know about. And that's, these upsells, if they're going to donate their bid that is over $100, $1,000, and they don't care if they win the item or not, they just want the money to go to you. Those are the people you want to nurture more. They clearly really care about your cause, and they have the financial means to support it. So for every kind of VIP you have identified, I would challenge you in saying that you probably have another one that you haven't identified yet, and these upsells can identify them for you. So, I love the upsells because they make you more money at the start, but that's really not the power of it. The power of it is after, and it's saying, okay, you have only so many people in your organization, you have this many people you have to follow up with, but there's this many that you can spend most of your time on because that's where the ROI is. And so it's like really honing it in for you. And that's what the organizations are telling us that they love the most, because they make a little bit more money, but it's the follow-up where then they're nurturing and they're getting so many more major donors than they ever expected. And these kind of like silent ones.
Mm-hmm. And sorry, Justin, I'm probably jumping ahead, but I think that's also why we're so excited about this partnership and this integration that we've got with Raiser's Edge. Because in Raiser's Edge, you'll be able to easily identify who those individuals are. So if you're currently using that CRM too, this is going to be just another added benefit for you of in Raiser's Edge, being able to see who those top donors are, starting your reach out with all of your other information about them in one place.
Awesome. There's a lot of people asking about other integrations as well with other than Raiser's Edge. And what we'll say to that is we are very open and excited to be integrating with Salesforce, with Donor Perfect, with things like that. If you could just reach out to us, Rebecca's email is right on the screen. If you want to just go to trellis.org and book a time to chat with one of us right away here, we are actively looking at making your lives easier. So on that note, we are only integrated with RE NXT right now. However, we are open and looking for others if you're interested. So please reach out there. And then another one here. Sorry, there's just there is lots of them. So please make sure you put your email in so we can email you if we don't get to your question. There was one about too many asks. So, you're saying all this stuff, but if we're emailing them all the time and all the different channels and all the different ways to give and ask, so how do we as organizations and charities not, over ask, I guess, and with all the different channels as well?
Yeah, there definitely is a lot of channels. There's a lot of different ways that you're probably approaching your fundraiser. Let's say a gala, right? Maybe we've got silent auction, tickets, a fund in need, a live auction, all those different ways. And so I would say just really being strategic with it. One of the nice things about using a platform like Trellis is with all of your donation upsells, they're in a very similar format. So people aren't going to be absolutely bombarded with them. But the whole point of your fundraiser is actually to raise more money. As much as it is about giving your donors a great experience, at the end of the day, the whole point is to raise money for your cause. And so don't be nervous or shy to ask for funds. That is why people are gathering, and that is the forefront of what you're doing as an organization and why these events matter. But I would also think about, at the same time, what are the channels that you think are going to be the most effective for you? Let's focus on those ones first. A lot of people, see a lot of success with their silent auctions and their raffles first for donation upsells. Highlight those ones. Let's start there, see how it goes. And then the next year or the next fundraiser, let's try incorporating some other ones and see what's going to be best. There is something really about, throwing things at the wall, seeing what sticks, and with fundraising, that can be a big part of it too. So don't be nervous to try, but remember that raising money, gathering donations is what you're paid to do, and it's part of your role for sure.
Great. There's some questions about what types of organizations are best for this fundraising model. Did you want to touch on if there are better ones or if it's just for anyone?
Yeah, really everyone. We're seeing all kinds of organizations that are raising money will find that and fundraising will find that a tool like Trellis will be really effective, and donation upsells would be most effective with that. Some organizations that we see just generally do a lot better with it. A lot of our hospital foundations are causes where there's a really specific need that they're raising money for. So the more tangible you can get around where your donations are going, the better it is for you in terms of how you can raise money and how you can use these tools to raise you more. So, I always say to people, instead of saying, hey, a $50 donation means a lot, it's like, no, a $50 donation goes towards this program, which helps these individuals. So getting more specific will allow you to be more successful as well.
Great. Just trying to get through everything else. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, French. Do we do French?
Yeah. So on our system, you can use different tools to translate your text from English to French. We are primarily at this point English based platform, but again, very open to having some conversations and changing that. Our goal is to make fundraising easier, and there are a lot of tools out there to help translate for you as well, which then makes it very accessible for individuals that are primarily French speaking.
Yeah, and to add to that, the front-facing page, you put it in French, it's in French. So your donors will only see French. And that's what's great about that piece there. There's another question here about just 50-50 draws or raffle fundraiser limits per lottery corporations and all that. If you wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, so every single province and territory has slightly different rules and regulations around how raffles work and what they look like. And so again, honestly, shoot me an email and I'd love to know for your specific area. We can talk about what some of your rules and regulations are, and I can help share that information with you as well. Rules and regulations are all different, but most of them, don't have too many limitations around how many raffles you can do in a year and in a given period of time. But again, happy to chat with you about that a little bit further.
Great. There's just some questions about fees, and some donors are hesitant to pay for fees, things like that. How do you navigate that?
Yeah, so the way our fees work, just because I see there's also a question specifically around our platform fees, the way our fees work are we are primarily transaction based. So we do a small amount upfront as a deposit, but primarily transaction based. We typically see organizations will make their fees optional. So they can make fees optional where either the organization or the donor covers fees. It allows your donors to have the chance to say yes or no as to if they would like to cover those fees. And that the ability for them to choose, we often see that about 70 to 80% of donors will choose to cover fees for the organization. For an individual, it's maybe a couple dollars. For your organization, it definitely adds up when you've got a handful of transactions. And so your donors recognize that they want to support you. And again, the reason they're joining you is to support your cause. And so I love making it optional. I love when organizations do that because it gives them choice, but we typically see donors will tend to cover fees. Of course, you don't have to though. You can choose to opt to cover all fees, or you can opt to allow your donors to cover 100% of fees as well. So you've got lots of options around that on Trellis.
Yeah, Rebecca, if you see any more you want to get at specifically, please feel free. I do see there's a couple people that had the QR code or link wasn't working because of some sort of filter. If you just want to send in your email, or just go to trellis.org and you can contact us there and we can get you that. And we can also email it around after, for sure, the guide, because it is great, that guide, just in terms of how to start step one, which is implementing those revenue drivers and the upsells.
Yeah, for sure. I see a question in here that says, if the donors are organizations, not individuals, does this model still work? Or is there a different approach that you would suggest? I mean, we see a lot of organizations will take this approach with more corporate sponsors or corporate partners as well. And so I think you would take the same approach with that too, of, similar to individuals, reaching out to corporate partners to make donations and support you could be a great avenue to take. We still see, adding options for people to give more. Adding a VIP ticket with a higher price point is going to allow your organizations to raise more money as well.
And there was a question earlier when you were talking about the marketing, just about how to create affiliate links. And I noticed Charity Village responded with a great answer there about, you can do it through Google Analytics, but on Trellis as well, we have all that. So you can create a affiliate link within Trellis, so then you can track sales. And where we see that really successful is if you're trying to maybe get volunteers or board members or certain groups to sell certain amounts. You can give everyone a link, and then you can see exactly who is spending the money. And then again, you're thinking about who's going to become your long-term donors. The people that sell the most to their friends and family, or sell the most, or the most engaged through the sales and those links, again, are those people based on that data that you can nurture more and spend more time with, and build those relationships more to maximize your time. So that's the affiliate links there. And if you scroll up on the chat, there's a whole YouTube session there that Charity Village posted for us on a lot more into the marketing side of things. And Rebecca, I think those are most of them. I think we got them mostly covered here.
I think so. This is kind of your last chance, though. If anybody has any other questions that they didn't get a chance to ask, or if we didn't do your answer justice, this is, or your question justice, throw it in the chat now, and we would love to grab any last ones right away here. But I think I'm just reading through them one last time.
There was a question about if you're not using Raiser's Edge or Trellis, and that's 100% okay. I mean, I think you just have to make sure you pick something where you can identify people that want to give you more. That's really the key of this whole thing, right? Because so if you're having a main ask and then there's another thing there that they can go for, or you're just having like a higher tier ask, like a bigger ticket size or a bigger donation, at least some ways to identify those big ones. And you need to give them the option to go bigger. If you don't give them the option to go bigger, they're not. So even if you're an organization that simply just sells tickets mostly, and you don't even ask for donations very often, maybe you just ask for a donation as a like a superhero type ticket. So your general admission is $10, right? Whatever that is, but there's maybe a superhero ticket that is double or triple the price. And then those are the people you can do. So by no means do you need to use these softwares here. You can definitely do it on your own. It's just identifying different ways to showcase who your people that might want to give more is. So again, it's that if you have a general ticket or you have this thing that's usually there, you do some kind of event or fundraiser or whatever that looks like, add an element to separate people based on money, how much they want to spend. Because at the end of the day, it is donations you're after. You're looking for more money to create more impact. So you do need to focus on that. And let's be Expedia, right? Like, let's try and use those tactics. So really think about what Expedia does, and then think about what you use now and how you can implement some of those things. Really, for sure.
Okay, I see we had 2 questions pop in here. Is there a limit to operate as a I see another question just popped in here around, is there a limit to how much you can upsell and how much you can ask? I would say no. I mean, we typically see organizations will have a lot of different ways that they're doing donation upsells. Again, people are familiar that this is a fundraising event that they're generally coming to, and that's kind of part of it. Of course, the limit of your donors, you know your donors, we don't, but we say, definitely keep asking, keep encouraging it. And with strategic donation upsells, the goal is that they're in a really tasteful way, that it doesn't feel like an aggressive ask that you're getting over and over again.
Yeah, the upsells have pictures and they have titles. So if it's a picture of the cause they care about, right? Think about your cause and think about the most powerful images. Like, the people are there because they care about your cause. So if you're asking them with images that resonate to them emotionally, and then they have the title that also resonates to them and helping them in a specific way, they're not going to be upset with you for asking that. They're just going to skip if they don't want to. They're like, yeah, this is awesome. I'm definitely in the right place. I see the things that I care about. I'm not interested in giving you more right now. And they just simply skip and move on. If it's, asked in that non-tasteful way that Rebecca was mentioning, then it can get tricky. But if that's kind of why you want to make sure you're using the right tools to do that.
I see another question just popped in here. Smaller markets tend to sell more tickets and focus on face-to-face, in-person, phone donations, ticket buys, etc. How do we implement in that way? I love that the tactics that we just talked about, although primarily online, it shouldn't pull away from all of that face-to-face, that in-person connection that you have with your donors. And in fact, our goal when we built Trellis, and as Justin and I have spent many conversations talking about how and what we adjust and how we make it better for our donors, is how can we still keep the face-to-face, that interaction element at the forefront. And so all of those pieces of that connection, that human connection that you focus on, really shouldn't go away. We should just be optimizing and simplifying the more administrative parts of actually selling the tickets for you. And so we see a lot of our smaller markets tend to use our platform. They still get to have a lot of face-to-face, and they still get to have that connection, but they just do their ticket processing and the sale processing through us, because ultimately it saves their team time too when they don't have to worry about that piece as well. And then Justin, I don't know if you had anything else to add on that as to like smaller markets. No? Okay, cool. And then the last question I saw just pop in here is it okay to be approaching the same donor multiple times? What's recommended? I think so, absolutely. I mean, we typically say that it takes 7 touch points with an individual before they take an action. So don't feel nervous or hesitant to be reaching out for multiple times for a donation. Again, like Justin said, being really cautious about how we do that in a tasteful way, sharing those images, talking about the impact, all of those pieces will help. sharing stories about the why, the cause, the impact, again, for your cause and where those dollars are going towards is also going to help share that story and inspire people to keep giving. Typically, organizations will approach the same donors or the same group of donors multiple times, and that's when they tend to see more results.
Great. I think that wraps up the questions.
I think so. Right on time too. Mercedes and Marina are probably thrilled with us.
Amazing. Well, thank you both so much for such a great presentation. As we are closing in on the hour mark, do you have any final comments before we sign off today?
I would just say on my end, first of all, thanks all so much for being here, for asking some great questions in here as well. We are really excited about the different ways we're helping charities raise more money. And I really do think that these tactics that we talked about, tactics to help you identify where donors are coming from, different ways to raise more money now through upsells or additional fundraising drivers, will allow you to start converting your event attendees into long-time donors. So if you have any other questions, that's why my email's there. Please reach out. We would love to chat and help answer any more questions or continue the conversation offline as well.
Great. Well, thank you, Rebecca and Justin. I just wanted to remind everyone that you will receive a follow-up email tomorrow with a link to the webinar recording. So please feel free to share this link with your colleagues. The email will also include a survey link that you can fill out with your feedback on today's webinar. You should see a survey link pop up right here in Zoom following the session as well. On behalf of Charity Village, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you'll join us for our next free webinar, Outsourcing Non-Core Functions. You can find more information on this and all of our upcoming webinars at charityvillage.com/webinars. Thanks again for taking part in today's webinar. I wish you all a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks so much, everybody. Bye.